What's going on, everybody? Before I get into the video, I just wanted to thank everybody for 100 subscribers. It's just so great that we finally got here. This is something I've been reaching towards for a while, and just finally getting here, just so great. I'm just filled with so many different emotions towards that milestone or reaching that milestone. And I can't wait for the future. I think there's a lot I want to do. I think the future is very bright for the channel. I have a lot of good ideas. Getting onto the channel might be a little difficult because some of them do take a little bit of time, and I just got to figure out a few things. But I have a lot of ideas, I'll say that. So get ready for that. But this couldn't have been done without any of you. We are all part of this channel in some way, whether you've subscribed, liked the video, or even just viewed. Everybody is somehow a part of this, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all of you, and on to the next milestone, I guess, from here. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of a different video today. It might seem kind of weird at first because it could be confusing to some, but I think once I explain it, it'll make sense, it'll be clear. But yeah, it's a different video. Usually I like to have some type of script or just general layout in front of me, but I'm just going off the top of my head. I have the Netflix tab pulled up, and I have the Star Wars titles pulled up, and what I'm doing is taking Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and Star Wars and combining them. So Netflix has Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood into 5 different parts. They cut it up into 5 different parts. Usually it's just based on the opening, so opening 1 has its own part, opening 2 has its own part, and they're all 13 episodes except part 5. I think most people should be familiar with this general layout of how Netflix has Brotherhood. So what I'm doing is taking each part of Brotherhood and applying a Star Wars title to it. I think it's just going to be easiest if I just jump in, and then everybody will kind of get the flow of things. So the first part of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is all about the start of their journey. Ed and Al, we learn their backstory, how they learned alchemy, how Ed got into the military. We learn about the supporting cast of Winry, Roy Mustang. We learn about Scar. It's just really about the start. It's all about the start, and that's what the first part is. So I thought it was fitting that we only apply The Force Awakens to this part of Fullmetal Alchemist, and we'll call it The Alchemist Awakens. And I think it's pretty obvious. In The Force Awakens, we learn about Rey, who she is in a way, kind of, and she learns her Force power. She learns she has a special power, and she starts using it, similarly to how Ed and Al start using alchemy in the first part. They realize, they can use this great power, they could use alchemy in different ways, and they start playing with it and whatnot. And it's really just about the start. So part 1 of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, The Alchemist Awakens. Okay, so you might be saying to yourself, Matt, the audio sounds a little bit different. That's because it is. The audio kind of messed up for parts 2 through 5, so I just gotta re-record it. But we're gonna jump in right at part 2. So what's going on at part 2? The story's just moving forward. We learn more about what's going on. It's just rapidly moving forward. We learn more about the homunculi. We learn King Bradley is actually one of the homunculi. His name is Wrath. We also figure out something's wrong with the military. There's something in the military, something going on that just is not sitting right with some of the characters. Roy Mustang and his squad, the Elrics, are trying to figure this out throughout the season, and it's just more about the story and just trying to figure out this whole plan. And we learn that there's someone in the shadows, some person controlling everything, someone controlling the homunculi, telling them what to do, and also within the military, they're just planning everything, and it's just like, it's clear that there's someone in the shadows doing something, and we learn that their name is Father. And this just gives me parallels to Palpatine. In the Phantom Menace, Palpatine's in the shadows. He's just behind the scenes telling people what to do, being this menace. Maul is kind of his pawn. Maul does all the dirty work while he just sits back and watches his plan go by. Just like Father. Father tells the homunculi what to do, and they do it for him. Both are like the Phantoms. And I think the perfect title for this part is Fullmetal Alchemist, The Phantom Menace. Both Palpatine and Father are very similar in the way that they structure everything. They have people do their work for them, and they just kind of hide in the shadows. So I think that's the perfect title for part 2. Okay, so on to part 3. So in part 3, we actually see Father for the first time. We meet him, and there's a little bit of backstory, but the main part is the boys travel to the northern wall of Briggs. They go up north to like this snowy giant metal wall, where we learn that Fort Briggs is like part of the military, but it's kind of their own thing, even though they are in the military. They are ran by Olivier, and they're just tough soldiers, just very strong-minded. And like I said, they're just kind of separate from the military, where it's like, yes, they're part of it, but also they're kind of their own group, I guess you could say. And while the boys are up there, a lot of conflict happens. For one of the homunculi, Sloth, shows up, and they have to fight back against him. And then General Raven shows up, and they fight back against him. Olivier actually kills him. And then Kimberly shows up, and they all have to fight back against him. And I think you can see where I'm going, because I think the perfect title would be Fullmetal Alchemist Fort Briggs Strikes Back. Now, I know Fort Briggs isn't technically the Empire. I mean, the Empire are the bad guys in Star Wars, where Fort Briggs is technically the good guys. But I just think it works. The Empire is very strong, Fort Briggs is very strong, and they're striking back against all these opposing forces. So Fullmetal Alchemist Fort Briggs Strikes Back is the title for part 3 that I chose. Okay, so part 4, we are nearing the end. So at the end of part 3, or maybe it's the start of part 4, Ed and Kimberly get into this like altercation, this fight, and in like the snowy mining town, and Ed gets impaled with like this piece of scrap metal, and he's out for a few episodes. He's gone for 5 episodes, maybe even more. But he's gone. To Elric's, they split up. Al goes with his group, and then Ed goes with his group. And like I said, Ed's gone until he makes this badass return where he's kicking the shit out of soldiers, trying to get away, trying to hide, I guess you could say. And Al, Hohenheim, and Ed end up meeting in this small town a few episodes into this season, maybe like 7 or something like that. And they all meet up, they return, the brothers reunite. Ed meets up with Hohenheim for the first time in a while, and just all about the reunion. They're all coming together for the first time in a few months, I want to say. So I think the perfect title would be Return of the Alchemist, just because everybody's coming back together to fight Pride, to start getting the plan going to take down Father. So Fullmetal Alchemist Return of the Alchemist is the title for part 4. Okay, part 5, the final part for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. As you should know, this is just the end. This is where everything takes down, the big battle against Father, trying to stop his plan, and just the finale of it all, of this whole journey. And I think the best title and most obvious one would be Fullmetal Alchemist The Rise of a Maestrous. So Rise of Skywalker is the final film in the Skywalker saga. It's just completing the story. All 9 films are just coming to an end. And in this part, everything's coming to an end. And you have a huge fight against Father where everybody's coming together, soldiers, alchemists, everybody we've met so far just come together to fight this one force, to rise against this one person. Throughout the show, we've learned that a maestrous has just been filled with bloodshed. Father has killed so many people, started so many wars, where it's like, finally, they can stop the force that has been just destroying their country. They can stop the person that just did so much damage to their country. So everybody in the Maestrous is rising against this one person to stop it, to rise up and take their country back. And I think that's just the perfect title, Fullmetal Alchemist, Rise of a Maestrous. What a better title to end the series. Okay, that's the end. I covered all 5 parts, gave each part a title, and let me know down in the comments, did I get all the titles right? Would you have chosen a different Star Wars title for a different part? Let me know in the comments. But if you guys did enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe. Thanks again for 100 subscribers. It means the world to me. But I'll catch you guys in the next one.